What's going on, guys? It's your host, Jackie Chism, back again with another episode of the Chism Sports Groove. That's the CSG if you didn't know. And today we got a great show for you guys. Man, episode 21 should not disappoint. Man, we got a big lineup of stuff to talk about today. I want to jump up. We're definitely going to talk about some of the coaching carousel that's going on in the NFL. Today we got the first ever CSG Titans Awards and Titans Times. Then we got locks, chances, and wildcards, and some NBA in Vegas, baby. We got hot news, not news today, and I'm gonna go with my final thoughts today as well. We're gonna talk about disappointments. All right, guys, that's it, man. Let's get into it, man. I'm so excited. If you haven't already, like and subscribe, man, because it's gonna be a great show, guys. It's the CSG. Let's get it. Welcome back, guys. Man, we're going to jump right into these coaching carousels. It's been crazy seeing what's going on lately. And I just want to start off by we're going to break it down. We're going to start off by talking about the NFC. We'll start off with the Bears, and first and foremost, they're the only team that's hired a head coach and a new GM. Now, am I missing something, or is anybody else caught on that they hired a new GM with the name Ryan and a new coach with the name Matt? Got it. They just fired Ryan Pace and Matt Nagy. So you go back and you hire Ryan Poles and Matt Eberflus. Man, maybe they get their Ryan Matt combination together right this time. Otherwise, I don't know. Yeah, I have some Bears fans in my immediate vicinity, and they can't tell you either way, really. Now, for me, Eberflus was a really good defensive coordinator. He really got that Colts defense to really play as hard as they could. Every game, they were one of the best defenses, top to bottom last year, the last couple of years, actually. And so, giving Chicago a great defensive coordinator so they can get back to where they were defensively is always going to be helpful for them. Now you just look to see if he can hire the right people, a quarterbacks coach, an offense coordinator, running backs coach that can help with the offense, evolve the offense and get to the next level as well. If he cannot put the right people in place to help matriculate Justin Fields through his first few seasons, then they're going to be looking for a new coach just as quick. All right, next we'll talk about the Vikings. Man, they just hired the GM themselves. And his name was Kwesi Adolfo-Mensah. Adolfo-Mensah. I'm sorry if I'm messing up your name. I actually even speak a little Swahili, so that's why I should have definitely had this name come really quickly. I'm glad to see that there's another black man in a position of power. Ozzie Newsome for the Baltimore Ravens did a great job for a long time. To see him coming from Cleveland's had a lot of success, and he was the VP of player operations, player personnel down there. Their defense is stacked, their offense is stacked. Only thing you can is just Baker Mayfield, really. And I don't think he really had a part in putting Baker Mayfield on the field, but everybody else around him has just been amazing. Clowney and Myles Garrett, Chubb and Kareem Hunt, Jarvis Landry, Joku. Man, they have had some really good players. They have like a top to bottom. They have one of the best rosters in football, the Browns. And I think that Kwesi is going to definitely help with the Vikings. They don't have a lot of holes, but they do have like some very immediate necessary positions that they need to fill. All right, last coaching changing for the NFC is going to be the New York Giants. They've actually hired the Bills offensive coordinator, Brian DeBoles. I feel like that's going to be really, really good for Daniel Jones. I think that's the only thing that tells me right now that they might give Daniel Jones another year because he is a big, strong quarterback that can run, just like Josh Allen. And DeBoles has had a lot of success with Josh Allen the last few years. I would like to think that he would go into that situation thinking, all right, we give one more shot with Daniel Jones. He was a first-round pick. He has a ton of talent, and the last few coaches were not good. So maybe they can turn it around. Maybe they can bring in a lot more pieces, especially on like the offensive line as well. Bringing in an offensive coordinator as your head coach should help with that. Will help with scheme to help keep your offensive line and your offensive players healthy, like a Saquon Barkley, a Kenny Golladay. I mean, because they have like some real weapons. Sterling Shepard, Kadarius Toney. I mean, like everything. So offensive line and probably their defense is probably their weakest point. But their defense still has a few pieces as well that you would like to see with James Bradbury and Leonard Williams. So they're not starting off too bad. It's not too big of a rebuild, you would think, but it's the Giants, and they've been trying to do things their way for the longest, and it just really has not worked the last 10 plus years. So hopefully they do something different and go a different route. Maybe remains to be seen though. I'm gonna kick over to the AFC right quick, and we're gonna talk about the Jacksonville Jaguars. They did not hire a coach, but they did have a few interviews with Byron Leftwich, who was a former franchise quarterback for the Jaguars, a first-round pick for the Jaguars as well. He's been doing really well with Tom Brady in Tampa Bay and coaching up and calling that offense. I'm sorry. So you would think that he would be a perfect person to match with Trevor Lawrence, who's supposed to be a generational talent. A first-round pick for the Jacksonville Jaguars. He's somebody who knows definitely how that feels and what's going on down there in Duval County. But from my understanding, Trent Baalke is not giving up, who's former GM for the 49ers and around the league, is not giving up power and final say-so to a coach. So I think Byron Leftwich probably would back out. I know for a fact that the entire league does not like or trust Trent Baalke. So if you're going to go in a situation where you already don't trust the GM to make the right decisions, why would you relinquish your final say to that same GM? So I think that they're going to hire some last minute coach at the end of the day now, and it's going to and they're going to continuously be the Jacksonville Jaguars. So I'd love to see it as a Titans fan, though. All right, next we got the Raiders. They're still in their hiring process. They have interviewed a few coaches and GMs for since they let go of Mike Mayock. I don't know how they really feel about Rich Bisaccia, who led them to the playoffs even through all the turmoil this past season. And I just don't think that I don't think that he's their number one choice. I think he was just an interim coach that came in and was on John Gruden's staff, and a part of that Mike Mayock and John Gruden staff regime. I think they're going to go a whole different route, though. So I did hear that they interviewed Rustin Webster, the former Titans GM, and good luck, man. Dude is trash. Wow. How the hell does he still get a fucking job interview? He did a terrible job in Tennessee. Zach Mettenberger years, I mean, we got lucky with the second overall pick and got Marcus Mariota, but if you look back at it, Marcus Mariota didn't really work for us because we didn't have the pieces, nor was he capable of putting the offensive line or pieces together to protect Marcus Mariota through his early stages of his career. You're going to get the same. You're going to get some wild picks, some dumb signings that make sense of we don't want him to be on that team. Okay, well, how does that help us win? Also, I mean, so I don't know, man. Rustin Webster, good luck. I hope that you go. I actually hope you go to the Jacksonville Jaguars or somebody in our division, because that's where we want to keep you at. Make sure we win those games. But if you're going to go to the Raiders, I mean, Pat Mahomes is going to love it. Also, with the Raiders, they are reaching out to Josh McDaniels, and I do think that there are some mutual interest between the two parties. I think that Josh McDaniels only is going to take an interview if the Raiders were actually interested in him, and the Raiders were only going to give him an interview if Josh McDaniels was actually interested in the job. So, man, you never know what you're going to get out of that. I know the last time Josh McDaniels was a head coach, he got fired, he resigned after some scandals about recording other teams' players, like some Patriots things that he was doing for the Broncos. And even last offseason, you thought that he was 2 years ago, you thought that he was going to be the head coach of the Colts, but then at last minute back down. I just don't know. I really just don't know. I wouldn't put any money into Josh McDaniels being a head coach right at this point until he signs on the dotted line. All right, guys, we still got the Broncos to talk about, and I don't know how I feel about this. Like, Matt Hatcher, who was the offensive coordinator of the Green Bay Packers the last few years, was the offensive coordinator, and his quarterback was a two-time, or supposedly going to be a two-time MVP in those years. But he is not a play caller, and he does have Aaron Rodgers to help him. That does make a lot of adjustments on the field. So I just don't know about that hire. I think that there are way better offensive coordinators that actually do call plays, that actually were more immersed into the offense than Matt Hatcher. But if he can help the Broncos get Aaron Rodgers, all set aside, that's a great pickup. If not, you could have got better. All right, guys, we still got a few more teams to watch as well. We're gonna still watch the Dolphins. They still have Dolphins and Texans still have a head coaching job open, and also the Saints now have a head coaching job open as well. We'll talk about that a little bit later. All right, guys, when I come back, we're gonna go right into Titans time. So stay tuned, guys.
Hit that like and subscribe button, and we always love feedback, so leave a comment. Now, back to your regular scheduled program.
Henry breaks a tackle. Touchdown, Titans! Touchdown, Titans! He is the baddest man in the NFL!
Yo, what's going on, guys? It's Titans time. It's me, the lifelong Titans fan, here to talk about weekly news in Titans Nation. Man, it was a great up and down season as usual. The Titans always give me heart attacks during their games. Always. There's only time we really can we just put teams away, or we just get put at if there's a game that we're super close, some funky could go wrong every now and then, and we just get blown out. But even then, we still will fight and come back and maybe have a chance to win. That's where the heart attacks come from. Like, can't we just blow people out instead of just Jacksonville? I mean, we're good at blowing Jacksonville out. That's never a game. But anybody else, it could be. Texans, Colts, everybody. The Texans actually beat us earlier. We went down to the wire the last game. The Colts went to overtime. So, man, can we beat these people? That's my little rant. But today we definitely got some special. It's the first ever CSG Titans Awards. And I definitely want to run down some of the winners for this and the CSG, but we want to shout out to the Titans, man, because they definitely had a great season, 12-5, get the number one seed with 91 players, the most in NFL history. We use 91 different players. There's only 90 that can show up to training camp. So, Like we were pulling people like from anywhere and everywhere during this season, and the fact that we were still coming out with dubs, man, shows that Mike Vrabel is definitely a great coach. Defensive coordinator Shane Bowen had a great year. Tannehill was doing his thing with the practice squad players that he was using. So that's where we're gonna start off at. Our MVP this year was Ryan Tannehill. I know he choked hard in a few games this year, including that last game against the Bengals. But for the most part, Ryan Tannehill was the reason why we were successful the entire year. He was one of the only pieces on this team, offensively at least, that was continuously successful and consistent throughout the season. I mean, when you're throwing to Cody Hollister and Chester Rogers and Nick Westbrook-Akina with Hillard and Foreman there behind you, and you got Taylor Wan out, and you got Nate Davis was out for a few games. The Quisenberry stepping up as a starter this year. I mean, like Roger Saffold went down a few games as well. Was out in and out of those games. So I mean, Tannehill still weathered the storm. Still got us to a number 1 seed. He played really, really well in some spurts this season, and very long spurts this season. And then in some of those games he did not play well. But hey, number 1 seed, quarterback of the year, quarterback of our team. Like I appreciate everything Ryan Tannehill did for us this year, especially with the cast that we had around him this year. And then jumping right into it, I think he also is the offensive player of the year as well. Like it just so happened that, you know, AJ and Julio missed so much time. Derek would have definitely been the offensive player of the year. And if we were just going by the first 8 games of the season, Derek is definitely the offensive player of the year. He would have been the MVP as well for the team. Like everything ran through Derek, and then for the back half of the season, everything to run offensively through Tannehill. It just was a great sight to see. I'm glad he stepped up so well. You would think that he would do so much more. He would do so much more and do better with Derrick Henry beside him, like he has the last few years. But deal with what you're given, right? All right, we're going to turn over to the defensive side of the ball, and we're going to talk about our defensive player of the year, and that should be no other than Kevin Byard. KB, first team, All-Pro, Pro Bowler. I mean, just a man amongst boys. Probably the best center field safety in football, hands down, the best center field safety. Like he just is so good at reading quarterbacks' eyes and reacting. He you can't beat him with the same plays multiple times. He's always around, always into something, making tackles. He's had interceptions. He's a bunch of interceptions again this year. He's got a couple of fumble recoveries. I mean, he's everywhere and anywhere. He's our leader of our defense, and you see it every week in and week out. Kevin Byard is front line helping his defense be one of the top defenses in the league. All right, we're going to cut over to our offensive rookie of the year. And this was a hard one. Like, I really couldn't choose between, I really couldn't think of much impact that rookies have had on offense. There's only been 2, I feel like, 3 that really even played this year. Desmond Patrick, Racey McMath, and Dylan Radons. But I would have to give it to Racey McMath. He's the only one that's done the most. I know Dylan Radon stepped in for a few games, even started a game, and did pretty well in that game. But Racey's just, with him being a special teams player, coming back off IR, he played special teams really well. He's caught a few balls. He doesn't get many targets because he just doesn't know how to run routes. But for the 6th round pick and what we got like a project player that can play special teams, he's actually played not bad at all. And I'm looking forward to having somebody like him and Westbrook-Akina, who are both big body wide receivers. Racey's got a little more speed to be special teams player, and those backup players as well. We got some good wide receivers, man. Like, we just definitely need to continue progressing the back end of our wide receivers with Nick Westbrook-Akina and with Racy McMath. So I'm gonna give it to Racy. Dez made a couple catches in a few games this year, and Ray Duns again played. He started a game. They did really well, but he's been underwhelming to the point where he has not played this season. So I'm gonna give it to Racy because he's been able to they trust him enough to put him on the floor when he's been healthy. And then on our defensive side, our defensive rookie of the year is no other than Elijah Molden. Man, he's played really well this year. He's really good in blitz and in run packages. You would like to see him progress more in coverage, but that's only going to take time. He's only going to have to see 1,000 more plays before he starts to realize what's really going on and be able to jump ahead of it from the slot position. I like him. I like him in his roles. I like what the coaching staff has gotten out of him. He's very feisty. He's a hard hitter. He hit Brevin Jordan so hard one game that I don't think dude felt that or knew where he was for another week. Man, and to be such a little guy, he reminds me so much of Cortland Finnegan that it don't make no sense. And Cortland Finnegan is definitely a Titan forever, man. So Elijah Molden, shout out to you. Thank you for coming through this year. We hope to see you get way better in the years to come. All right, we'll go back to our comeback player of the year, and it's no other than Christian Fulton. He missed so much time last year as a rookie. We just did not know what we were going to get out of him coming back this year. And even though he missed a game or two, he had a few injuries, man, he was our top corner this year. I mean, you could put him on on the best wide receiver, and we'll be all right for a while. You'll be all right. And you can only see him all year. You can see he was progressing super well. The coverage was getting stickier. His tackling has gotten so much better. Man, play recognition is starting to show now. And the more snaps we get with him, the better. I can't wait to see what he does next year with a full offseason, with another full offseason, with another game plan, with another chance to install a game plan and go back and look at the film and get smarter and matriculate his game better. Man, we got almost a shutdown corner over there. He's gonna be really good if this year's indicative of anything in the future. All right. And then our breakout player of the day, our breakout player of the year, is going to be Imani Hooker. Man, it was nice to see another safety other than KB back there actually putting in work. Man, because KB couldn't do it all. Last year, you saw Kevin Byard was trying to do too much, and he was out of position on so many plays that he's normally not there. Having Imani Hooker in the backfield, also as the other tandem safety, gives Kevin Byard that confidence he needs that he can jump up and he can run his assignments without worrying about somebody in the backfield. And Imani Hooker came up huge all year. He had a few picks, including in the playoffs. He had a pick against Joe Burrow, and he's made some extremely well tackles. Not many breakdowns of coverage for Imani Hooker, so you like what you're getting out of him. He's a really smart, tough player, and definitely fits the Titans mold going forward. We have two safeties that I'll put up against anybody any day. All right, last but not least, my surprise player of the year goes to Nick Westbrook-Akina. Man, to be a special teams practice squad player, to come out and have a couple of 100-yard games, to block the way he blocks, to do everything we ask him to do and do it gracefully is was such a surprise this year. You did not think that Nick Westbrook-Akina is going to be your number one wide receiver for a few games this year, and he did not disappoint. All year he made some really tough catches. He ran some really nice routes. There's a couple of drops and a couple of misses in there because he's just not fast enough that you would like to see somebody to see him get. But for a second-year undrafted rookie, second-year undrafted player out of the practice squad that had to be forced up and play significant minutes and asked to produce significantly, he's been amazing this year. He should be one of the first people we re-sign, but even though I know he's a restricted free agent, so we're not really too worried. We will definitely bring him back, and it won't be expensive. So definitely shout out to Nick Westbrook-Akina for the biggest surprise of the year. Like, I hope to see nothing more than you add to that next year, man. All right, guys, that's it for that TSG Titans Awards, man. Like that, again, 12-5 year, #1 seed, AFC South champions 2 years in a row. I'm proud of this team. I would love to have seen us won that freaking playoff game without 3 turnovers against the Bengals. That's a team that they don't want to see us ever again, because I know Vrabel's going to be in their ass. So, I can't wait till next year, guys. Any Titans news and anything updates that we can give going forward during this off season, we'll be right on it. We're giving it right to you guys. When I come back, though, we'll go right into Vegas, baby. So stay tuned, guys.
Hit that like and subscribe button, and we always love feedback, so leave a comment. Now, back to your regular scheduled program.
Vegas, baby, Vegas!
Yo, what's going on, guys? It's Vegas, baby. This is a segment where we give our locks, chances, and wild cards, then go over the good, the bad, and the ugly of anything we just betted on. Man, we got a great weekend coming up of sports. Definitely want to talk about the AFC and NFC championship games. I want to get my chances on those. We'll talk about it a little bit more, and we got some NBA as well to go over. So let's get right into it, man. And we're gonna talk about this KC and Bengals game. The Kansas City Chiefs are gonna be my lock of the week. Only reason why I'm giving them the lock of the week is I think that the game earlier in the season that they played was super close. I mean, the way that the Chiefs defense was playing at the time was not as explosive as they are now. Pat Mahomes and Tyreek Hill, Travis Kelce were going through a few injuries and bumps and bruises throughout the season, and I just don't see the Bengals being able to shoot out with the Kansas City Chiefs the way that the Bills did, essentially. And so I think that Pat Mahomes is on a tear right now. And if you haven't noticed, he's put up 42 points in the last 2 games. I don't think that they're gonna stop now. I think they're gonna have definitely more than 35, 40 points. And Joe Burrow and that offensive line are gonna go through some troubles with Chris Jones, Frank Clark, and Melvin Ingram up front. Tyrann Mathieu should be back for this game. So look for that secondary to be just a little bit better. Make a stop or 2. You never know. But definitely, I feel like this is going to be a high-scoring game. Look for it to be over 70 points total. But I'm still going to give the lock to the Kansas City Chiefs. Next, I'm going to give my chances. I'm only going to take a chance on the Rams over the 49ers. Only reason why, it literally is the law of averages. The San Francisco 49ers with Kyle Shanahan has beat the Rams 6 straight times. There's got to be 1, right? Like, it can't be 7. I also just think that Matthew Stafford and that offense is capable of putting up points. Cooper Kupp, Cam Akers, Tyler Higbee, OBJ, like those guys can help Matt Stafford get the ball in his hand quickly, because the San Francisco 49ers have a nasty pass rush, and Stafford does take a lot of sacks and make some turnovers. Look for Jimmy G to make probably about 2 interceptions, interception or a fumble, but I'm thinking about 2 turnovers this game. If he can keep it under 1, that's the only way I feel that the 49ers have a chance of being in this game. I just don't see that happening. I think that the defense for the Rams are just nasty right now. They get a whole lot of pressure. Aaron Donald's still in the middle there, which you have to take all advantage of. I just don't know that Deebo Samuel's on offense is going to be enough to to counteract all the weapons that they have, that the Rams have offensively and defensively. So I'm going to take a chance on the Rams only because they've lost 6 times in a row to Kyle Shanahan and the 49ers, but I think that the law of averages says that they might get this one, though. All right, guys, we're going to go right into some NBA games on Saturday. Today we got some NBA. We got the Raptors and the Heat. I'm going to go with the Heat right now. Jimmy Butler's back. He's playing really well. Man, Duncan Robinson and Tyler Hero are a shootout waiting to happen, old Western style. So, I mean, I just love what they're doing down there in Miami. They have a really good squad. They could challenge Brooklyn and the Bucks as well this year. Look for them to continue to figure out their pieces that they have with Deadman and Bam and trying to work out their lineups. But I just think that the Raptors just are not going to score enough points. I do like them, though. I do like the Raptors. Don't get it twisted. I think the Raptors are one of the most underrated teams this year. Pascal Siakam, Fred VanVleet. I don't know why is that such a tongue twister now. Scotty Barnes, Chris Boucher, they have some talent down there, man. And I really, really think that people should not sleep on them. But I'm gonna go with the Heat in this one. After all that said. All right, next we got the Brooklyn Nets traveling to Golden State to play the Warriors, and no KD in this one as well. No Kyrie because they're in California. So with James just by himself, I think that is just not going to be enough to get past the Warriors. Clay's coming back on a tear. I think that even after missing so much time, he's still playing really well. And he's only going to get better. His defense is only going to get better. He's getting to the hole, which he usually has not done. He's not done historically throughout his career. So I mean, just imagine adding that extra layer to Clay's game. We always said that he's just putting the ball on the floor away from being one of the top players in the league. If not already one of the top players in the league, and he's working back on his defense and getting back. So I mean, I like what they've added back. Have right now with Clay and stuff, and with the team that they already had that was pushing Phoenix for the number 1 seed. So I'm gonna go with Golden State in this one, only because no Kevin Durant and no Kyrie Irving. I think it would be too close of a match with Kevin Durant and Kyrie Irving. So just to see that, but I don't know about this one. All right, we'll head over to Sunday, and we got the Lakers traveling to Atlanta to play the Hawks, and I'm gonna go with the Lakers in this one. Trae Young was named to All-Star starter team. I think that he is definitely a top talent in the league. He's one of the most exciting players to play, but the Atlanta just have not played good this year. Atlanta has not played well at all. I know the Lakers coming off a couple losses without LeBron. They had no AD last night, looked like, as well. But if you get those two back and playing in this game, there's no way that the Lakers lose this one. I don't think it's even close, really. I don't know what to say about the Hawks right now. They've won some good games this year. I think they beat the Bucks pretty well. They definitely they beat the Bucks not too long ago. They've had some really good wins, but they've also stacked up a bunch of losses this year. So they're not one team that I'm gonna pick with right now. I just think that if LeBron, even if no AD, if LeBron's back for this game, there's gonna be a Lakers all day. Next, we got the Nuggets traveling to Milwaukee to play the Bucks. I like this matchup between Joker and Giannis. Both of them are all-star starters, but I just think that the Bucks just have too deep of a bench to go at Denver at this point. Denver just without Jamal Murray, without Michael Porter Jr., they're going to lose some of these top games as well because you're asking so much from Joker, and you want to also keep your eye on Joker and the minutes that he's logging as well. Even though he's having another MVP type season with the cast around him. All right, last but not least, on Sunday, the San Antonio Spurs are traveling to Phoenix to play the Suns, and we'll go with the Suns. number one team in the league this year. I think they're up 3.5 games on Golden State at this point. There's nobody in the East touching them. There's nobody else in the West even close to them besides the Golden State Warriors. They're up and away, probably one of the most exciting teams in the league right now. They can put points up on anybody. They play great defense. Chris Paul, you are a Phoenix Suns savior, and I've been a Phoenix Suns fan since about 03, 04. This is the most exciting time for Phoenix that I've ever seen. Even through those back-to-back MVP seasons for Steve Nash, we had great teams then with 7 seconds or less. I mean, even if it's not 7 seconds or less, Monty Williams is making sure that we put up a lot of points and we stop Cleveland from putting up a lot of points, which is always great. I mean, Devin Booker dropped 43 just a few nights ago, and to see him to matriculate to such an efficient scorer, instead of being just a volume scorer, it helps this team so much. It makes them even more watchable. Devin Booker can score at all 3 levels, from anywhere, make any shot at any time. You got Miles Bridges and Mikal Bridges and Cam Johnson that are snipers that play great defense. Once we get Aiden back, they'll be all right. But I think that Samuels and Biyombo would play extremely well, but it's because of Chris Paul. He can play with any center and make any team better, and it shows. It shows through every fiber of their play. Shout out Suns, man! Y'all are killing it this year. I'm excited to watch every game and continue going. I'm rooting for the Grizzlies and the Suns this year, so it's just been a great year. All right, guys, that's Vegas, baby. When I come back, we're going to jump right into hot news, not news, so stay tuned, guys.
Hit that like and subscribe button, and we always love feedback, so leave a comment. Now, back to your regular scheduled program.
What?
Welcome back, guys. This hot news or not news. This is a segment where we go over the latest topics in the world of sports, and we decide if it is hot news, we're going to talk about it a little bit more, and if it's not news, we're going to explain why and keep it pushing. I want to start off right now by talking about Sean Payton. He stepped away from his head coaching role with the New Orleans Saints, and it's going to take some time right now to himself and with his family. Do I think that this is hot news or not news? It's definitely hot news. I literally was saying this right before he stepped down, that with a team being $67 to $71 million over the cap space and don't have a legitimate quarterback, there is no way Sean Payton is going to stay in that position. You're setting yourself up for a loss. I mean, there's going to be some hard decisions that goes on down there, and I just don't think that Sean Payton want to be a part of that. There's going to be some great players that they're going to have to cut on some on the older side as well. Probably like a Davis, their linebacker, maybe a Cam Jordan, Marshawn Lattimore, some of the bigger contracts that they have. Mike Thomas definitely probably is going to move on as well after this season. I don't think he wants to be there. I know for a fact he doesn't want to be there. He had ankle surgery right before the season started. You had all off season to get ankle surgery, and you decided right before the season starts that we ain't going to take care of that right now. And that was a strategic move, I feel like, as well, because it's not like he just sat out and he couldn't and he just didn't want to play. He made it so that he could not play. So I think that he still gets paid for that. Since if you cannot play, I think you still get paid. So there's a huge story right now. I think that Tom Brady's decision to be up in the air helps the Saints because if Tom Brady's not there next year, even if he is there next year, they still have their number. Like the Saints did beat them twice this year, beat them 4 times in the regular season, 4 of the last 5. They lost in the playoffs last year, but they beat them 4 of the last 5 times. So they do have their number, and they do have a core group in there that inside their locker room that I think that even without Sean Payton, they're still going to be strong. They're still going to be disciplined. They're still going to be a very decent team at that. They just barely missed the playoffs this year, but Jameis going down, a lot of injuries across the board for that team. No Michael Thomas. So I mean, it was just a crazy year. Especially still dealing with COVID as well. And so I just think that they're going to have some success. It's a huge story. I think that there's other replications that come from this. There's ripple effects that come from this decision of Sean Payton being stepped down. The Saints, for first and foremost, were terrible. They had 1 playoff win before Sean Payton. After him, once he got there, they made it to a Super Bowl. Won a Super Bowl with Drew Brees. He had multiple playoff runs. Had a very good success regular season wide for the team, and it just changed the culture. Because if anybody remembers, or if you just look back through NFL films, people wearing trash bags to Saints games. Archie Manning was not really going to Saints games that hard because they were wearing trash bags on their head. They were wearing paper bags on their heads with the Aints on them. And they used to call them the Aints because they were one of the worst franchises in football before Sean Payton got there and before Drew Brees got there and the turnaround that happened. So I know I'm not a fan of the Saints, but I think that the new city of New Orleans definitely would be more appreciative of him and should be appreciative of him and the accomplishments that he's had throughout his tenure there. I think that the NFC South is going to love that he's not there anymore. I think that Brady might stick around, knowing that he could win another NFC South championship and have a very good seeding going to the playoffs. That might sway him a little bit better into coming back next year. Dallas. I know that they're looking heavily into Sean Payton, and I just don't know what effects that have on Mike McCarthy, who they decided to want to bring back, in which we'll talk about that, in which we talked about last time, or Dan Quinn, who they brought back as well, thinking that he might be the head coach in the future for them, but not if Sean Payton's out there. Not if Sean Payton's out there. You're not going to be the head coach of the Dallas Cowboys. If Sean Payton wants to be there, and we know Jerry Jones wants to be there. All right, we're going to move on to the next topic as well. We got the Chicago Bulls have dropped from the number 1 seed earlier in the season to now to the 6th seed. And with the injuries that's going on with the team right now, it does look like they are having some troubles. Do I think that this is news? Yes. They have 2 All-Stars on their team, 3 if you're going to count Vucevic in his past. And I think that they're having just one of those seasons. Every team has it. I think it was like the 49ers a few years ago that had just a crap ton of injuries. Every team gets it, man. Once a year, I feel like there's one team that just cannot control the amount of injuries and outside situations that inflict on the team and their success. And the Bulls are having that private right now. The simple fact that they're still in the 6th seed is what makes this a huge story. They're a really good team from top to bottom. And if they're not able to get healthy, it's definitely going to affect the playoffs this year. Again, another ripple effect that could happen going through the East. I think that the Bulls should definitely be in the top 5 team. The Cavs have just jumped their way up there as well. You got the Nets, you got the Bucks, you got the Heat, and you should have the Bulls. So, as long as I really, really think that those 5 teams have to stay healthy. They have to figure out something, including the Bulls, because this is going to be a great playoffs this year. I've never seen the East so stacked before. So, but if the Bulls cannot be healthy and they are continuously sliding out the playoffs this year, this could be like there's going to be some major repercussions in the Bulls organization, and you never know what could happen with the playoffs within the East as well, because they could put somebody out, and if them not being there could not put somebody out, could lead to a whole different ball game in the finals, and who's going to be there, who's not going to be there. All right, guys, I definitely want to talk about Big Ben next. He officially retired after 18 years, and salute to you, Ben. Man. I think that he definitely changed the narrative of himself. He came in as one of those big quarterbacks that definitely was hard to get down on the ground. But one thing that they're definitely not talking about is the rape charges that he had as well, that he was suspended for. He had a motorcycle bike incident, and he was just a bad guy overall. So to see him to get the chance to turn it around, again, shout out, man. Like, he definitely got a lot of slack from the media that other players don't get. OBJ's never been in trouble with the law, but he's always been looked at as a villain. That's not true. Like, T.O., Chad Johnson, had some trouble, but not when he was playing in Cincinnati, not when he was in New England. They definitely let him slide on a lot of shit going throughout these years, but he did live up to it. He was a model citizen. I'm glad to see him retire because it just looked terrible. Last few years, I know he had an elbow injury, but he could not throw no more, man. He was known for having just a big rocket arm and big presence, and that's not been Big Ben the last few years. It's been a quick check downs, throw it away, get it out your hands quickly. Don't take many hits because you have the end of your road. So definitely like to think that Big Ben had a great career. He might be a Hall of Famer, but if it was up to me, I would be looking at it with very high levels of scrutiny because of his earlier in his career and some of the troubles he had as well. Going back to that. All right, next I would definitely want to talk about James Harden and how he wants to test free agency. Do I think that this is news or not news? I think that it's not news, to be honest with you. Now I do know that the Nets are not looking for they have shunned any trade offers that might be rumoring out there. I do also know that James Harden did follow through with his extension, and that did not happen. And he does like to see. He's never been a free agent before. He would like to see what it would be like to be a free agent, but I don't think that that's news, man. Like he just never been courted before since college. So really, he's gonna go with the best situation. If you want to blame anybody, blame Kyrie. To be honest with you, like you go to Brooklyn and you don't have the full team that you set up to have to win, and winning and losing is one of your problems. But one of the best players on your team is not there and is a part-time player. That could be a huge reason why you're losing. So do you really want to stick around with that bullshit at the end of the day? Like, that's not news to me. I'd be looking around the league as well, at least testing out the market, at least seeing what's out there, at least what other situations look like, and if the grass is really greener on the other side. That's, again, checking to see if the grass is greener than what you got going on in Brooklyn right now is not news. All right, for my last story I want to talk about is one Antonio Brown. I can't believe we're talking about him again. But he said that the Bucks did offer him $200,000 to check into a mental hospital. And if I think that this is news, yes. Yes, I think this is news. Everybody's been speculating on Antonio Brown's mental health and what he said mental wealth at this point. But for an organization that's willing to invest millions of dollars in you, that has a $1 billion organization and has hundreds of millions of dollars on the line that could come from another Super Bowl run that they're actually relying on you from going in from the offseason going into next season. That's huge, man. Like that's definitely that's more than just smoke. Like that, they know something. You don't offer a man, a huge like one of his bonuses to go do something unless it's serious. I just don't see. There's no reason why you would give that man give him money to go do something unless you needed him to be done, unless it was urgent to have to be done. And the fact that they offered to him to go to a hospital, they know that there actually should be something wrong with that man. There's something wrong with him. This is huge news. People in his camp are doing him a huge disservice, bro. Like, right, you should have took the money and went. It couldn't have hurt you. If there was nothing wrong with you, then you were just gonna have a vacation, my guy. Literally. So the fact that you didn't want to go, you already know something wrong. Somebody offered me right now to go to a mental hospital for $200,000 or any bonus I've ever had in my life. I'd take it. You gonna pay me to go to work on myself? I know I might not be the most soundest person, but I'm very mentally sound. I'm very mentally sound. I have a pretty decent high IQ. And I still would go because there's something that I can know about myself. I'm not afraid to learn more about myself or to make sure that I'm better at the end of the day. I know that sometimes everybody gets down. Life has a way of showing you that it's still life, man. Life is a bitch, and it's always gonna be it. So any chance you can get to help work on your mental wealth, like he said he already has, you can only add to it, dude. Why not? Why not? It wasn't gonna hurt you anyway. It was a couple, maybe a week, 2 weeks, maybe. Bro, take that money you got then and go on vacation. Probably still had enough facilities to work out. You probably still had everything you needed. You probably still had contact. You probably still can leave because you're voluntary there. You still leave on the weekends, go out and have fun. You can get your people in town, whatever. So this definitely does tell me that there is something wrong with him. And the Bucks do know that there's something wrong with that man. So hopefully he gets some help one of these days before it's too late. All right, guys, that's hot news and not news. When I come back, we're going to go right into my final thoughts for the day. So stay tuned, guys. Yo, what's up, guys? Welcome back. We're going to run right over my final thoughts for the day. And I definitely want to talk about disappointments. Being a Titans fan, I know all about disappointments. Being from Memphis and seeing the Grizzlies play as I came up, I'm about 10 years older than the Grizzlies actually moving to Memphis. So it's been wild to see disappointments, after disappointments after disappointments as well. And I know all about it. And I think that there's the level of expectations for most teams are unrealistic. So, and that's what leads mostly to disappointments, I feel like, in my mind. Every time I think that, all right, Titans should blow out a team. They should beat this team by 30, 40 points. There's no way we should lose to the Texans. They're still an NFL team. The line on the game was only 10 points. It was only 3 or 4 points at some point. You know what I'm saying? If the line's 3 or 4 points, why are you expecting a 30-point blowout? Vegas doesn't expect that out of your team. So you shouldn't expect that out of your team. If you want to say, if you're a Bucks fan, a Tom Brady fan, there's going to be a lot of disappointment this year because you expect them to be right back in the Super Bowl this year, even though that's not where they were at the end of the season. That was unrealistic expectations. The Titans, they legitimately disappointed this year. With all the issues that they had, they were the better team than the Bengals. They are a better team than the Kansas City Chiefs. And they are a better team than the Rams and the 49ers, who they all beat. Now, again, the Titans beat 3 out of the 4 teams left in the playoffs. And lost to the Bengals twice now. That's disappointment. They were a terrible team last year. They were a better team this year, actual playoff team, but giving up 9 sacks, getting a turnover on Joe Burrow, and not being able to do anything offensively with those turnovers that we had just was a huge disappointment. Now, I did have the Titans scoring another touchdown, but the turnovers that they had did lead to them not scoring another touchdown and losing that game. That's where the disappointment is. That was realistic expectations for the Titans, and they did not come through with it. Arizona Cardinals, on the other hand, showed you that they were not going to win that game. I had expectations for Kyler Murray that he did not meet, and that was not right for me to put those unbelievable expectations on somebody like a Kyler Murray in their first game. You have to have realistic expectations for your team, man, or you're always going to be disappointed. I grew up all the time thinking the Titans would win every game, no problem, every day, and would just stomp upstairs like, man, you should fire everybody. Everybody's got to go. I was sad every Sunday the Titans lost, and there was a few years in there after Steve McNair years that I didn't know if I wanted to watch, but I did. Rustin Webster years, man, that was some rough years, man. Sheesh. And again, unbelievable expectations for the team that I always had, and I left myself disappointed. Dallas Cowboy fans, you guys do this to yourselves every year. There's no way you rely on a second year and a rookie player on defense to be the top part of your defense. Probably the best player on your team is a rookie, and you think that that's a football and that's a championship team. Zeke Elliott was not doing anything all year, and you knew that Mike McCarthy was an accident waiting to happen. So why would you listen to Michael Irvin or Skip Bayless that, hey, go buy your tickets that are non-refundable for the Super Bowl? Like, this is stupid, man. And I think that a lot of people would have so less disappointment if they tailor their expectations towards realism. So I think that I'm gonna make sure that in this show that we make sure we set realistic expectations for all the teams and all the bets and everything that we are talking about going forward, because disappointment in a sports team should not happen too much. I mean, there are going to be games like the Titans just played against the Bengals, but for the most part, yeah, they had a great year. Like, if you want to just talk about them right quick, they did have a great year. Number one seed, AFC South champions again, two times in a row. So definitely like what they got going on down there. We're definitely going to make sure you have realistic expectations, because this is a huge team. It's a huge year going back into next year. Off season for every team this year is going to be huge. You want to check the cap space. There might be some additional cap space because they did cut the cap for COVID last year, not having fans, not generating that revenue from stadiums. But they did have fans. They did have stadiums full. They did have the revenue coming back in. So look for everybody's salary cap to jump back up for about a considerable amount. But it's going to be crazy off season still, man. It's going to be crazy, dude. And I, for one, am already looking at the expectations for every team and tempering it down, so we can go back into next season with better betting lines, only getting better. We're only going to do better every year we do this. So stay tuned with us and rock with us. All right, guys, this is my final thoughts. And again, that's another episode of the Chism Sports Groove, episode 21. Thank you for watching. If you have made it to this part in the video, I definitely want to say that you're the MVP. Hit that like and subscribe button. Share it if you want to. Drop a comment. It definitely would help out this channel a lot. Also want to give a huge shout out and a thank you to everybody in the Chism Channel organization that had a hand in putting this show together. Man, you already know I couldn't do it without you guys. Man, again, this is the CSG. I'm your host, Jackie Chism, and my numbers do magic, guys. Peace.
Perfect.
by the Chism channel at TCC Productions.